Welcome everybody. I'd like to bring the meeting to order. Planning board meeting of July 2nd, 2025. Or excuse me. August 2nd, August 6th, 2025. Don't read everything on the teleprompter, as they say. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from the July 2nd, 2025 meeting. Mr. Landry, any comments?
No comment.
No comment. No comment.
All right, to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's approved. All right. First order of business is old business, site plan review, SP 25-0006, Robert U. Holmes, second, PLLC, representing Ames Goldsmith Corp., owner of tax map number 303.18-8-1, commonly known as 21 Roger Street, is seeking site plan review to install a chemical storage tank on a concrete pad pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code, Chapter 220-20B. This requires site plan review and approval. Something in here, Representative. State your name and microphone.
Hi there, I'm Mike Forrester, plant manager at Ames Goldsmith.
Hi, Brett Walters, project engineer.
Aaron Roberts with RU Homes Engineers. I do have an executive summary of kind of an overview of the project.
So this project proposes the installation of the hydrogen peroxide tank to aid in the processes of the facility. The tank is proposed to be 14 feet off of the building, 20 feet off of the eastern property line, and 94 feet off of that northern property line, and as well as 22 feet off of the parking area. The tank will be situated on a concrete pad, so that will increase impervious surfacing. So we are proposing to increase the stormwater management basin to handle that increase. And that's basically it for the site plan itself. I'll pass it over to Mike if he can explain some of the process.
So Ames Goldsmith has been awarded a grant from NYSERDA and given approval from the DEC to move forward with a project to improve our emissions controls for one of our major processes. The project has nothing to do with our capacity or output, nothing to do with expanding production. Our capacity will remain flat. It has no new product lines. It's really just purely improving the environmental controls. Just to give a little background, dissolving silver is kind of the core of what we do. We use nitric acid to dissolve silver bars. That chemical process right now produces NOx gas, nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and that gas has to be abated and controlled. Currently what we use to do that is a 50-foot stack. It's a thermal oxidizer, basically 1 million BTU an hour natural gas burner. We proposed a project in NYSERDA. We're enthusiastic about it, where we can basically change our chemistry and prevent the NOx gas that has to be eliminated in the thermal oxidizer from forming in the first place using hydrogen peroxide. So that's the storage tank. The real deliverables for the project are going to be a reduction in close to 900 metric tons of CO2 put out. And when you burn natural gas, the gases they also produce a little bit of NOx, sulfur dioxide, other pollutants that go out into the natural gas. And because of the chemistry change, we're able to use half the amount of nitric acid. So that's going to be half the amount of trucks, tanker trucks that come with the nitric acid.
So it's a big environmental step forward.
It's a very big environmental step forward. To be honest, it's something our owner has really wanted to do for many years, and it's really getting awarded a grant from NYSERDA that we're able to actually do that now.
That's it. So, would anyone from the public like to comment on this issue? On this proposal? Okay. Celine?
So this storage tank is for new chemical stuff that you're using?
We do use it now, but well, actually that's not entirely true. We use 50% hydrogen peroxide inside the plant, but it comes in drums. So this is 27.5%, which is less, it's in a class 1 oxidizer, which is less hazardous than the 50%.
So it's really kind of, I guess that's what I was asking. You know, you've got 55-gallon drums and you're going to consolidate that now with one storage.
Actually, the drums that we currently use are for a different process. So we don't use them in that area at all. Because right now it goes into basically a giant burner, and hydrogen peroxide is an oxidizer. We can't have this used on the burner. So this would be additional hydrogen peroxide that we're not already using. The drums that we're using, we're really into drums, but because of the volume required for the process, the drums just really aren't feasible.
And I guess it's probably safe to assume since NYSERDA is involved that, you know, you got to imagine you're seeking understanding, you know, you have a quasi-residential neighbor up there, neighborhood. I mean, is there, I got to imagine there's actually state mandates or ZOJA or whatever as far as the installation of the tank.
It's actually all through the DEC. Yeah, they're regulated pretty tightly. It's, you know, we have some storage tanks there for other chemicals, so it's nothing new to us that we're familiar with. There's regular inspections, safety interlocks. Yeah, it's really all regulated through the DEC.
And I'm assuming the DEC and NYSERDA again, like the fire department, is enterprise of this so that, you know, they know what they're dealing with if there's a fire, if there's an explosion, something like that.
Absolutely, and in fact, that's why I initially wanted to use the 50% hydrogen peroxide, but in speaking with fire chief, excuse me, the exact title. Okay, so we realized that that was actually a violation of the fire code, so we reduced the concentration down to class 1 oxidizer, which is not as strong as an oxidizer. But there are regulations also involving the tank, as we're aware of, you know, we need to make sure there's essentially no organic material, grass, anything like that, nothing that can burn anywhere near the certain areas.
As long as we're on this, do you want to address this issue for us, please? Not an issue, but just enlighten us, because you're obviously very familiar with it, and this is your department.
Eric Hartfield, City Council Halls. So, like I said, everything we talked about, they had the class 2, we talked about the code limitations, mostly how much they could have in comparison to the other chemicals they had. We had a class 1 oxidizer now. As you mentioned, the code states that they still need a 15-foot clearance all the way around if any combustible material. The only thing that would really hit, and Chief and I kind of talked about this a little earlier, is to build it. Making sure that because it is 14 feet, if they're not able to find that extra foot, every part of that building would have to be non-combustible. So the roof, the sides, windows, anything draped outside, along with nothing in between there. So grass, dumpsters, picnic tables, breaker, like there has to be a global 15-foot clearance all the way around the tank.
And so far, they've met everything you guys have asked for.
Yes, yeah, they provided all documentation with us. They connected with myself and the acting director of building codes multiple times. We laid out a couple different options. They came back. So there has been open communication, and they've supplied all the documentation that we requested. And if I understood correctly, the building is completely non-combustible, right?
Yeah, it's a metal.
Metal roof, everything.
I'll confirm that.
That was the only question, was the.
Yeah, I think it has a PVC coating on the roof.
Okay. So,
Something that can be altered.
that or, like I said, just the 15 foot, so we can push it back and forth and have that 15 foot clearance. That would be the only thing that sticks out as of right now. I may know, before they get started, I'm making a visit. We'll make visits as we go, and then the final inspection once it's completed.
So it has to be 15 feet from the.
15 feet from any combustible material.
So it's either 15 feet or that building within that zone has to be non-combustible.
Right,
Because right now the drawing shows 14.
14, right. So the building is completely non-combustible material. In theory, they have met that section. Or if it is not, they have to push it back to meet the 15 foot clearance.
20.
And again, maintaining that throughout.
Right.
So if they have it a year later, you can't go over the break area, throw a dumpster with combustible materials.
Correct. Or 50 cable for, and it's 20 feet from the street, and that's fine.
Yes, yeah, that was for, city and zoning, for when they, the DJ.
Then there's bolsters protecting it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So I guess one thing is we have to put some kind of contingency to verify that roof is not.
Right. And that's, these guys will be watching us. If this is approved, then that will be part of it.
Inspection.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, my main question I brought up, just kind of walking before we started, so we just address it. The only other thing I would ask is, so if I have a percentage using the process, so
No,
we're using it,
Devin,
so I use it as part of an open system, and you probably do it to a certain level to utilize the process.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So you're going to dilute the, I assume you're diluting the product into a lower concentration, or you're using it
So
straight?
you're using it as is, yeah.
Okay, so changing it from the class 1 to 2, we change it, make that class 8 to 1. Is that mean when you use deliveries, is you go through the product quicker?
Yeah.
So that'll impact as far as, vehicle traffic being in that product being delivered. So yeah, I assume they, more frequently delivery schedule because of the difference.
Yes, going from the 50% peroxide to the 27.5, and yeah, if they deliver
You're always
home.
getting twice a day.
Yes, of the peroxide, but that is used at a significantly less volume than the measured acid is. So the net, delivery of tanker trucks from this project will still be a significant drop because we are getting deliveries of the peroxide, but we'll be getting half the amount of deliveries of measured acid that we are now.
Okay.
No, I'm just
Nina?
Excuse me, you had on your site plan some language in there about lot consolidation. Is that something that was specifically related to, do you want to?
Devin Roselle, zoning and planning coordinator for the city. On the first note where we're talking about, I do want to say that they have 2 feet 3 inches of play, so even if combustible materials, they'd still be able to make that right of way, 20-foot setback, both directions if they needed to address that first issue. The side yard setback, because there's a corner lot, lots need to be merged so that they didn't need another variance for that. They began the process and got confirmation from the county for that.
So this approval should be contingent upon that absolutely going through, right? So that they have their
Yes.
setbacks and variances.
Yes,
should be
right.
received.
Yeah, and they have their appropriate variances from the CDA as well. Thank you.
You had an infiltration detail, and I guess you sort of already answered my question. I couldn't tell. It almost looked like it was maybe a garden or something like that. Cash.
Yeah, you also.
It looked like it was within the 15 feet, but
The rain garden,
yeah.
there's the existing rain garden that we're kind of adjusting to handle the additional runoff. Yeah.
But does that come within 15 feet of the new tank? Is that considered?
Well, if need be, I mean, we could, there has to be 15 feet, it could be stone material.
Yeah, there's stone in there right now.
Okay, so as long as we make sure.
I just didn't, I want to make sure that wasn't a conflict.
Yeah, there's no plants or anything, it's just the bare
Okay.
Yeah, there's no plantings, so it'll just be stone material.
You guys have a lot of coverage that's going to increase very, very slightly with this. I don't see that as anything significant. I think there's an opportunity to shield the surrounding neighborhood from the big tank. Because you've got that long chain link fence, and on the street side, it has green slats in it. And there are houses there, and as you come up the street, you can see right in. I would make a recommendation to put slats in those fences, in that fence, at least, maybe a third of the way down or whatever, so that you block out that garden.
Yeah, that's been on the to-do list.
Has it?
So that's
You can
something
match.
we have to do.
You can match what's out on the street.
You just put the green
Put
slats.
the green slats, just turn the corner with it. I can't remember if there are gates there, or how are you preventing the public from getting in?
There are gates there.
And locked?
Yeah. So they are locked from the outside, push bar emergency.
So no teenager wandering down.
Not unless, we have a truck gate there for trucks to be able to pull in. So if that were open, but it's entirely fenced in.
You're taking responsibility for the security of the public.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
You've answered most of my questions. So is it flooded or is there tide control that's removed from this?
So the fumes, he's asking how we control the fumes. So it's all enclosed, really, and it's vented inside the building.
No, sir.
We did receive, this project was sent up to Warren County, and we received a notice from Warren County that says the Warren County Planning Department finds the proposed action has no significant intercommunity or countywide impacts. With respect to seeker, I would classify this as a type 2 action, as it's construction or expansion of an accessory non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet. Therefore, no further action is required.
Yeah, great. We have the slats in the fence.
And,
Make sure the 15-foot clearance.
yeah.
And, yeah, make sure they're all compliant with the fire code, or it's non-combustible.
Yep.
And then the lock comes out when it has to be.
I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby, I'm sorry, let me start again. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby approve the application of Robert U. Holmes, II LLC, representing Ames Goldsmith Corp., commonly known as 21 Rogers Street, with the following conditions. That there is a 15-foot clearance from the tank to anything combustible. If that's not possible, that every part of the building within that 15 feet is not combustible. That there are no green slats in the fence to shield the tank from neighbors, and that the lot consolidation is complete. Recommend approval with those conditions as presented at the meeting of August 6, 2025.
Second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Make it go.
Next order of business. Michael Fernandez, representing Trey Miaz, leasing tax map. Number 302.20.24, commonly known as 21 Bay Street, Suite 1. Seeking to have 5 outdoor dining tables with a total of 20 chairs pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code, Chapter 189-17. This will require an advisory opinion by the planning board to the common council. Take your name.
Michael Glens.
Okay? This has been in front of us for a while. Tell us what you have in your drawing. Tell us what you want to do. You already have outdoor seating, so.
I do, I submitted an application for outdoor seating, I figured exactly what the business that was there prior to me was, that was approved, so I haven't changed it.
You're going to, it was going to add,
It was going to, but then I agreed just to stay.
just say with what's there?
Yeah, let's keep it easy.
Okay.
Five people.
Yeah.
5 tables, 2 seats apiece.
So you have 2 tops out right now,
Right.
and you're saying you're going to keep them? Because in your drawing, you showed tables for.
I did, and then I spoke with the owner of the tables that the previous business owner was using, were still there. So I just came back to City Hall and I would hear exactly what's going on, just to keep it easy.
So you don't want to increase that?
I don't know if there's space to.
Do you want to have them entertain it in the future if you want to change it?
They could,
Because
but
you're here for them.
You're here and you have all the drawings.
yeah, you can. I just, I mean, that space that I have is 5 feet off the side of the building. I don't really get much more. So,
Since it's 10 feet. So this is 5 foot of space. It's 10 feet from the building to the sidewalk?
10 feet from the side of the building to the start of the building. Kind of just the laws, can't count it.
My issue is that he has 5 feet allotted to him for tables, and that works really well right now with the 2 tops, but if the tables, as you drew, were put there, 4-seaters, that left this much space for wait staff within that 5-foot zone, which meant that they were using the public walkway. That was sort of the question, and I don't know about, if we had to put tables.
And since we started this process, the liquor authority reached out and ensured that that road basically is complete. I can't have a gap there, I can't have service.
You're supposed to have it contained.
Yeah. So,
As long as you're happy with what's there. Yeah.
Does he need the permit though?
He does because he's the owner.
I already paid for it.
No, so what he has now is approved, he's fine.
Yeah.
So this was if he wanted to change it.
Change it.
Oh,
So
that's
we don't
all.
need to
So if he
do
doesn't
this.
want to do it, if you want to withdraw,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
just leave it that way. It's
Yeah,
a
great.
denial. Does that make sense?
All right.
Okay, that makes sense.
You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Good luck. All right. Item number 3, Phoebe Wells, owner of tax map number 303.36-3-10, commonly known as 62 Mohegan Street, seeking approval of a curb cut to install a second driveway and apron pursuant to the City of Glensville zoning code, chapter 220-18L. This will require an advisory opinion by the planning board to the common council. Is there anyone here representing this? Okay.
So we got a letter from her asking that it be tabled.
Well, this has been like 4 months, correct?
This is the third meeting that
She hasn't been.
this is the second consecutive day.
Was it new because it's kind of about a granite curve, and you see that what's on
Well, that was in there before. Yeah, the city engineer from the first meeting when she was here, and we talked about stormwater runoff and the whole deal. The city engineer and DPW was not in favor of this application. We had letters from both of those. She hasn't been here for 3 months.
So do we have to make an advisory opinion to tell them to deny it?
Yes. Due to the non-favorable, due to the applicant not appearing or providing the additional information requested.
So, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, do you want me to make a motion?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion, the Glens Falls Planning Board hereby submits the following advisory opinion to the Common Council, that they should look with disfavor on the application Phoebe Wells, owner of the tax map commonly known as 62 Mohegan Street, who is seeking approval of a curb cut to install a second driveway and apron. We would recommend this disfavorable, or we would recommend this based on the applicant's non-appearance and not providing information requested over 3 consecutive meetings.
Can I get a second? What's that? Oh, yeah.
But she didn't have the information at the first one.
Yes, she didn't have
She didn't
information.
show up with that.
Yes, she was here, and then we asked her some stuff, and
And this doesn't seem after.
no, she did come back and reapply. Yes, that was just right now, so taking it off our docket. All right. Can I get a second on that motion? All in favor?
Who's that?
Next item on the agenda, Green Spring Site Plan Review, Architectural Review, Green Springs Capital Group LLC, Contract vendee of tax map number 303.17-13-14, commonly known as 178 Maple Street, are seeking site plan review to convert the existing building into a mixed use of 19 apartment units with an additional 2,357 square feet of commercial space pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code chapter 220-20C and 19. This will require site plan review and approval. Okay, and also, at the same time, architectural review, AR 25-003, Green Springs Capital Group LLC, contract vendee of tax map number 303.17-13-14, commonly known as 170 through 180 Maple Street, are seeking architectural review to convert the existing building into a mixed use of 19 apartment units with an additional 2,357 square feet of commercial space pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code chapter 220-20D. This will require architectural review and approval.
Okay, good evening, Scott Lansing with Lansing Engineering representing Green Springs Capital Group. We were here before the board last month, so I think the board is quite familiar with the project. I'll give just kind of a quick overview of the project just to refresh the board's memory. We are here this evening to request the board's consideration for site plan approval of the project. As far as existing conditions, we are located at 178, 180 Maple Street, 0.35 acre parcel. It is currently zoned light industrial district. As far as the existing structure, it's approximately 21,215 square feet overall. The main building is a 2.5-story brick building, and there's a garage, single-story structure off towards the east of the building. As far as what we are proposing, we're proposing a mixed-use building, 2,357 square feet of commercial. This will be located in the garage portion, that single-story garage portion I mentioned, and also a portion of that will be into the first floor. There will be entrances both on the front and back of the building for the commercial space. The balance of the building is proposed as 19 market grade apartments, the half basement level. So there is a portion of basement level that sticks out of the ground. That will include 5 units, 1 studio, and 4 one-bedroom units. The first level, which is the same level as the commercial space, will include 6 units, which will be 2 studio units, 3 one-bedroom units, and 1 two-bedroom unit. And then last but not least, on the second level, we'll upper level is 8 units, will be 1 studio, and 7 one-bedroom units. As far as parking, parking would require, according to the city code, would require 32 spaces. We are providing 32 spaces for the project. As far as the comments we received at the last meeting, I did want to go through those one by one just to address how we address each one of those. As far as the access to the building, we are showing the ramps to the building, so we do have an entrance in the corridor area, in this area, and then we also have an ADA accessible ramp at the back of the structure. So those were added on the site plan last time. We did not have those on the site plan. As far as the spaces in the front of the building, prior we had 3 spaces in that area. We did reduce those down to 2 spaces, and we added a sidewalk on the side of that so we can have the spaces plus access. Before we had 3 spaces, it was very tight between the building and parking, so we have reduced that down. There was a suggestion to extend those spaces so they're deeper spaces. We have the sidewalk along Maple Street, so those spaces, I believe, are about 20 to 60 feet, where normal space is about 18 feet deep. So it's extended, so if somebody does pull in, they don't pull in all the way, they still will not block that sidewalk along the frontage. The parking in the back, there was a request to take a look at that, to dry wells into that area to provide some stormwater mitigation. We have added 2 dry wells in that area, one in this location, one in that location. Also, there was a request to take a look at the dumpster location and try to hide that more, put that in the back. Originally, the dumpster was located in this vicinity. We have moved that to the back of the parking lot. We've also put that in an enclosure, so that we'll have a gated fence enclosure around the dumpster. There was a request as far as plantings to provide a planting plan. We have also added that to the plans. Last but not least, there's a request to take a look at the parking area, provide a barrier for this parking area to the parking area to the north. First off, we have a couple of light poles in that area, so there are 2 light poles on that boundary with fixtures downward facing that face towards our parking lot. We've also had this split rail fence to demarcate our parking lot from the adjoining parking lot, so hopefully there's not any parking spill over from lot to lot. That was essentially it for what I had on the site plan related comments. I think we're here for site plan and architecture. I don't know if you want to go right into architectural, if you want to address site plan first, or how you would like to proceed with that.
You can do architectural and.
Okay, yeah.
I'm Sophia Lane, I'm with the architect Miller Riley Wilson. As far as architectural, we did extend our elevation to include this dumpster enclosure as requested. We also did some work looking at sight lines for the condensers that are located on the roof of the building. And we found that the distance you would have to be from the building to see the very top of the condenser is 170 feet across. 100, yeah, 10 inches back from the building. And additionally, we had removed the ramp. We had shown 2 options for ramps initially. We removed the ramp from the courtyard area and just have one on the rear now. We also enclosed the garage door on the back side of the building. And we are going to be applying a masonry coating to the standing portion of the building, which would just actually see the back color of the block. And the other comments?
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this matter? Please come forward. Just step aside.
Hi, actually, I have a question. I'm Judy Calogero. I'm the chairperson of the Glens Falls IDA, and this project has come before the Glens Falls IDA also to assist with financing. And we had been involved with this probably a little over a year ago, the prior owner, projected owner, and there was going to be state offices of historic preservation financing or tax credit financing through SHPO on this project. And there ended up being an issue with the upper floor windows. And there was concern that the occupancy level, if those windows remained in place, that there would be difficulty having those units occupied by residents. Not one of the buildings with such small windows. And so that project did not come back forward. They had proposed to SHPO that the size of those windows on the floor change, and SHPO would not permit that. And so my question is, have you done any kind of market analysis to determine if the occupancy level on that upper floor would be sufficient if the window sizes remain the same?
Well, if there's any other comments, then we'll have them answer that afterwards. Okay.
If we could get that answer submitted to Jeff Flagg at the city board of Munch Hall IDA Council, as well as any kind of documents submitted to SHPO or SECR.
So in other words, SHPO has said that they cannot change the size of those upper windows at all, or is that something that funding is contingent upon?
Funding. The prior applicant was looking at having state historic preservation tax credit financing as part of the financing of the project. And so they would not allow it if tax credit financing was going to be involved. They wouldn't allow the change.
So if this,
They're not.
so they're not asking for that, so does that, how does that play in? It doesn't.
I don't know, but the issue was at the time that the upper floor occupancy would not likely take place if the windows remain the same size.
That was their opinion.
Okay, so in terms of going forward, if the window size is not changed and those upper floors are not occupied, that can be issued to the city.
That's their risk, right?
I was gonna say, that's not.
Yes, but again, I represent the IDA and they are looking for city financing.
Okay.
So that's what I would like to know from that perspective, if there's been any kind of market analysis done to determine the occupancy would occur even without these windows changing.
I understand, Judy, but I think from the planning board's perspective, we're just looking at site plan and architectural review.
Understood.
You may do something totally different, and your agency may require a market analysis, but we don't require it.
Gotcha.
And especially if SHPO is not providing any funding, then, okay.
And I'm here for another reason
I understand.
tonight, but I,
Since you're here, why not ask?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. It's good that you made us aware of that.
I think we understand.
So if they don't change the windows, will that jeopardize funding for this project?
it could. If the lenders involved, whether they're private or public,
Right.
if they're concerned that occupancy would not occur
Yeah.
because of the size of the windows, then it could possibly impact.
Because we had, at the last meeting, we came, and we described, it's like 12-foot ceilings and the bottom of the windows, and we had 8 feet off, they were up, there's approximately that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's different.
It's a great building, and I'd love to see it get redone,
Right.
but I also wouldn't want to see, so I do think that market analysis probably should be done to make sure that, and I understand why SHPO was opposed to the windows changing too, I mean, you want the historic buildings to be preserved.
Well, I think we asked that question a lot because, you know, a lot of times we're questioning the number of one-bed apartments. And, you know, part of me always thinks, somebody can risk $3, $4, $5 million without, is there national statistics or is there state, is there local, is there board to go and show that this is worked in advance? You know, we've got reconditioned factory units here in town that are gorgeous, that they're sellable. This one here is unique.
Most of the market analyst firms that I've worked with in the past, I think would have a better way of answering this. So that's why I thought that's what we should ask. Thank you.
Anyone else from the community? You guys want to talk about that?
I can touch on it quickly. As far as the windows, my understanding the windows are not changing. So the location, configuration that they are right now will be consistent as they move forward. I'm not aware if the applicant has a market analysis or not. Probably they're full and willing to move forward on this particular project. On a personal level, my daughter lives in an apartment in Troy with the windows up high, and she loves that particular configuration. So I was trying to hold her, so I can tell her so probably like those all those units as well. It's a matter of personal preference. So you want to talk about from the architecture standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what I would say.
So you have to speak in the microphone.
It's essentially what I would have said as well. You know, we're looking at an industrial building
type, and people seek out industrial type buildings, and lofts pretty commonly. Yes, and we are not changing the window arrangement, so that we don't have any issues with SHPO moving forward. We choose to go with any kind of funding.
Are you getting funding from SHPO or you're not?
Yes.
Do you have approval from SHPO? I didn't see it in the packet.
No.
Sorry. We'll need approval from
There's an approval for the part one, just not the part two. Part two usually occurs during design development.
Mr. Reed?
Was here last month. I noticed somewhere in the readings, I've got lots of extra things since the general plan. There's something about easements versus purchasing on parking in the back.
There was, when it first came to us, was presented, they were going to do an easement on that property next door for the parking, in the sense they negotiated to purchase the property. Correct?
Yep, okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, yes.
Great. And I thought it was pretty great that you were going after the architectural renovation of what's happening there. It is a pretty building. And they did something residential out of it without changing a little bit. It's kind of, especially I don't know, back doors, the garage, the barn doors, whatever that you quoted that. It's really interesting to see that. Again, I don't believe that we're able to play on this. It would be neat to see more twos instead of studios, but I understand there's got to be a financial benefit for that and everything happening. But all things seem pretty nice to me.
We got to make
Really concerned about the window, like safety, you meet all the safety requirements so that tenants can stay.
Yeah, we made additional accommodations as far as safety. We have a fully sprinkled building, as well as providing additional areas of refuge in the building, so that they have safe spaces to go into, and there is more egress than is required by code.
So my other concern is at the last meeting, in one of the meetings, somebody from the neighborhood showed us pictures of the water in the parking lot. And I guess that's why you put this storm basement. Is this adequate to resolve the problems that they've got in that area? Currently, they've got water problems between the multiple buildings, multiple properties, I guess I would say, in that area.
Yeah, it is a mitigation measure that we are proposing for the request of the board. Technically, for DEC regulations, we're not required to provide any sort of mitigation or infiltration or attenuation of stormwater because we're less than 1 acre. So we're providing the dry wells for infiltration, collection, and infiltration. We're also reducing the impervious area on the site, and that the paved area in the front that accesses the garage, that's not going to be a grass courtyard area. The back of the structure as well, we're adding some green space area. So we're decreasing the impervious, and we're adding some infiltration. So hopefully that's something to move.
And I think it's great that you moved the trash containers back. But does that affect your snow removal?
We feel there's still plenty of room for snow removal. If we get a winter like we did this past winter, they might have to haul on site, but we do feel there's enough on site.
Thank you.
It was nice to see that you addressed a lot of the concerns that we had last week. And then the other thing architecturally was I noticed you indicated that all of the electric meters, which took back, the transformers all pushed off the street, so not as full as possible.
Yeah.
You had on your site plan details some bike racks, and they don't show up in the site plan. Do you have, I'm just curious, I think that's great that you guys are going to provide bike racks.
I know we had a bike rack in the front, and there's another one, should be in the back here, a very trigger, so one in the back and the front.
And then the courtyard, push the parking spaces back into, is that all impervious
The park space is obviously small, but,
So that'll take water infiltration goes right there.
Exactly.
And then you had your fence detail was the split rail fence.
Correct, along the
And that's separate, and then I noticed that it's squared off so that you could push snow into that corner. Is that why you got the wire mesh on there?
The wire mesh, quite honestly, that was left over from the detail for stormwater, basically, we're going to remove the wire mesh, and I don't think the wire mesh is appropriate.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay. It'll look nice with that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
My only other comments have to do with comments that came from the city engineer, and I think we all saw the back and forth emails in which he responded to his questions. And one that was outstanding was to definitively figure out if the roof leader, I think in direction of Maple Street, actually daylight square foot goes into the sewer system.
Yeah, and that's something we're still trying to get clarification from the city engineer on as far as the infrastructure on Cooper Street. We don't have clear direction on sanitary sewer and storm sewer, the systems out there. So we're in the process of working with Mr. Schindel on that to identify that. But right now, as far as the building itself, we're seeing a separate roof leader going out the street, which we presume that goes to the storm system. And then we have a separate sanitary sewer, so you presume that does obviously go to the sanitary sewer system. So that's some of the work in progress, and if the board would consider conditional approval, that would continue to work with Mr. Schindel and iron that out. We appreciate that.
I mean, he was pretty clear on his condition anyway. If he discovered that roof leader goes into the sanitary sewer system, you simply have to change it. So as long as that's acceptable to take that on as project expense. And then he pointed out the catch basin and provide the sidewalk. You guys are reconfiguring that.
Yeah, we did reconfigure that. The original survey from way back when did not have that. We went out, we did an updated survey, we did locate that, and it's obviously there. So that's being maintained, and there's sheets that catch basin right now, and that's why it will be maintained.
I don't have any other comments.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
That was a lot of my questions about the engineer's comments, but maybe I don't see it. I don't see the planting drawing.
It should be in the set, we bring a copy. So we have the plantings of the turf in the front, and then plantings of the turf in the back as well. I believe that sheet 4 or 6, I believe.
6? No. What's it called? What number?
When it's 4 or 6, it should be the lighting and planting plan.
It's LP1.
And I'll take a look at that and let's comment. What about the sidewalks? We talked about the sidewalks too. The condition, are you going to be replacing the sidewalks or what's the?
Felt the existing sidewalks are in good condition. As far as along the frontage, there's a new sidewalk in this area, and then the back portion, we were pouring a section of that area. I haven't double checked on that, but the majority of it is being maintained because it's in good condition.
I'm going to take a look at this and see. Yeah.
Just clarification, I was reading the comments, you have work regarding the water protection system. And I just want to clarify, because it says NFPA, the plan does say NFPA 13R and NFPA 13. And I saw you guys questions, there's kind of confusion as far as NFPA 13 has been used, but NFPA 13 system will be used in a commercial space. So is the whole building going to be a 13R system?
We did change the system to 13, not 13R.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so the entire building.
So the entire building
And
is
it
13R. Okay. Yeah, that's just very clarified. It's very confusing. It looked like they were using 13R in residential and then 13 in commercial. So
Yeah, our fire protection engineer was initially looking at it as like a fire separation area calculation, but it's just easier to just.
That's my next question.
Yeah.
So based on the occupancy in the commercial space, code requires, fire ratings, it could change from 1 hour to 2 hours. So you may still need a fire separation, even though you have a 13-hour system.
Yes, yes.
So I didn't know where you were as far as determining what type of classification you're using.
There's actively a 1 hour rating between those spaces.
Okay.
And I believe he needs to achieve a 2 hour, but I believe we only need 1 hour by code.
I'm sure you'll work with the fire department. So
I have a question, I guess, going back to the drainage. You mentioned this is less than a 1 acre site, so drainage is not a consideration.
As far as the New York State DEC, if you're below 1 acre site disturbance, you're not required to do any sort of pre-post analysis, quantity mitigation. So our site is at 1 acre level of disturbance, so we're below that threshold, so DEC does not require that. Board requested that we provide the dry wells, so we have provided those. And again, we're decreasing the impervious area on the site, so we have more infiltration opportunities on the site to do that change.
We had some of the small notifier, the sure fact that they were mentioning that your site was up to an area that potentially has 6 or 8 inches of water when it comes spring runoff time. Is that any concern for you that part of your property could be under the water?
I believe I mentioned the back parking lot area, so that is where we're adding the dry wells. The dry wells are below the frost line, so I'm going to suspect that condition is in springtime when the ground is still frozen and there's not the opportunity for infiltration. So by getting below the frost line, that should provide an opportunity for that water to.
How big, what size dry wells are you putting?
They're 4 foot diameter, they're 4 feet deep.
Okay. I'm very familiar with that location. I'm there all the time. It's not just in the spring, it's whenever we get a big rain, there's big puddles there. So that should take care of the problem.
Yeah. If it doesn't take care of it completely, we'll.
Right, because you're not going to have your tenants walking through 6 inches of water.
And then I guess one other thing too, is there any, I'm assuming that on the lower level apartments that this is not a problem with those happening. Is there any concern for that?
Basement, the
Yeah, basement.
garden terrace apartments.
Right.
There are, I believe, 3 rooms to be priced out on that floor. So, yeah, there's more than one floor.
I think that's it.
I have a couple of comments. I'm glad to see you guys, are willing to work with us and the neighbors on the dry well situation. I know for the neighbors that was a big thing. Split rail fence, I don't know if that fits there. The city just did an awesome project down along the waterfront where they had, posts with like a 4x6 rail on them. It's more not farmy, you know what I'm saying, like somebody's yard. Split rail, but that's kind of like somebody's yard. You know what I'm saying? And like that you're in an industrial area, so they need something a little different on just personal opinion, but I think it's going to be a great project for the city. We heard some really good comments from everybody here. I'm curious to see how the SHPO thing, that's going to come back. This is the first thing we've heard about that. You guys seem like it's not an issue with the windows. I know it's common in industrial buildings that happen like that. People run.
The less exterior change, the better.
What's that?
The less exterior change, the better.
Right.
So-
Oh, 100%. The cost of changing those windows would be huge.
Yep.
We'll see how that turns out with the financing, which you guys don't seem to be worried about it, so it doesn't really affect us.
Can I ask a question? Just, on those, where's the floor fall relationship to the bottom of those? Are they going to be this high on the average person, or?
No, they're about 8 feet.
No, they're about 8 feet above.
Above where they'll be standing?
Yeah, yep.
Just curious.
The second floor does get an excellent light.
Yeah.
Regardless, so.
So I've been in that building before up there, and while those look like speakeasy, secret passages, it doesn't feel like that when you're in the sunset. It shows more than
With respect to seeker, I would classify this as an unlisted action. The applicant has provided the Part 1 assessment. The board needs to go through the Part 2 impact assessment. Number 1, will the proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No, or small impact. Number 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No, or small impact. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No, or small impact. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies? No. No. Will public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? No. No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Based upon the board's review of Part 2, the board could issue a negative declaration.
We just got to make sure
But it's being mitigated.
mitigated.
So you need a seeker motion for a negative declaration. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board hereby accepts lead agency status for the application of Green Springs Capital Group LLC, contract vendee, the property commonly known as 178 to 180 Maple Street, as presented at the meeting of August 6, 2025. The board has determined the action to be a unlisted action and has reviewed the short form environmental assessment form and upon documentation and discussion issues a negative declaration.
Can I get a second? All in favor? Aye.
When you did original motions? Yeah, I had whichever fashion motion, I had that it's contingent upon the ownership transfer of the parking lot, which they represented in another contract with pending planning board approval. And the board, or the applicant would need to provide the SHPO approval determinations and a continuation to address the city engineer's comments relative to James and have final. Their comments to the city engineer said that they've done an inventory of the sidewalk and it was determined the sidewalks were in good shape. So the city engineer though is continuing to have comments relative to the roof drain and the applicant must comply with all requirements of the city engineer. I think that's what the conditions are. Did anyone have any others?
Shane, right.
Go ahead.
You were going to change the fences and show the details, aren't they?
Through the wire mesh, yes.
Yeah.
No, that's not split rail. Don't
It
you?
was something different,
Yeah.
I agree.
We can do not or approval based on conditions. No, they have the thing like they did along the walkway down by the river somewhere. It's just like 4x6 posts, and then it has a horizontal. You just want a delineation between the two parking lots is the main reason for that. it's gotta be something, you know, that more fits the character of the neighborhood.
Yeah, the applicant's not agreed to provide more detail, so you more like a guardrail type of detail?
Yeah.
Guardrail.
Yeah, but not the metal, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Is that a condition, fence too? How do we,
I don't see it being an issue. Yeah, sure.
leave it, put it in? What are we gonna condition, the fence is what?
Fence as discussed in the
Wooden guardrails.
wooden guardrail style
Is
fence.
that what you want?
Yeah. But you got, I mean, you're the architect.
Well,
It's just something that, so people aren't
something a
going
little
in
more substantial
substantial,
than.
but in just separating the two properties so that people,
Yeah.
because you do have two parking lots there together, you know.
So wooden guardrail style.
Type fence.
Okay.
The one that Artie's referencing is very simple in
Yeah.
design. In fact, I think down there, because they're concerned about cars, they're 8x8s. And they look like they're at least a full 2x8, maybe almost a 3x8. But it's got.
4x6 would be-
Yeah, it's pretty, it's just got a wood feel, it's very simple. It's literally a post with two, colors.
Just the rail on, goes across the top.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's all regular now, so just, keep that in mind.
I think that will suit the industrial look of the building better.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that. So we're gonna do approve our site plan, conditional approve site plan and architecture. Do a motion.
Do you want two motions or one motion?
One is fine.
One's fine, right.
Okay, so we'll do, I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan and Architectural Review, hereby grant architectural and site plan approval with the following conditions for the project identified as Green Springs Capital Group LLC, contract vendee of the property commonly known as 178 to 180 Maple Street. The conditions are that SHPO approval is determined, that the applicant address the city engineer's comments regarding the roof drain and comply with all recommendations of the city attorney. City engineer, thank you. That ownership of the parking lot, ownership transfer of the parking lot is completed and approved by the planning board.
We don't.
Approved.
Submitted to the,
It's submitted to building and codes,
Submitted to
they
building and codes.
completed the ownership transfer and consolidation.
and that the fence that delineates the parking lot is a wooden guardrail style fence, as presented at the meeting of August 6, 2025.
You get a second? All in favor?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next order of business. New business. Sketch plan review, SP 25-009, 196 Ridge Street, Glens Falls LLC, owner tax map number 302.16-16-1, commonly known as 196 Ridge Street, represented by Ethan Hall of Brzezinski Hall Architecture. Is seeking a sketch plan review to convert the existing building from a 2-unit apartment building into a 6-unit apartment building, as well as construct 6 future townhome units consisting of 3 bedroom units. Pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code chapter 220-14P 1-2, this requires sketch plan review and approval. Also, architecture review, AR 25-1, architecture review, AR 25-004, 196 Ridge Street, Glens Falls LLC, owner of tax map number 302.16-16-1, commonly known as 196 Ridge Street, represented by Ethan Hall of Brzezinski Hall Architecture, is seeking architecture review to convert the existing building from a 2-unit building into a 6-unit apartment building, as well as construct 6 future townhouse units consisting of 3 bedroom units. pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code, chapter 220-14E1 and 2. This will require architectural review and approval.
Good evening. For your record, my name is Ethan Hall, I'm principal of Brzezinski Hall Architecture. Here tonight with Dan Schneider, who is a member of 196 Ridge Street, Glens Falls, LLC. The property is located for orientation. This is Ridge Street running north-south, William Street one way running from the west towards the east. Property is on the corner. There's the existing brick building with the garage that's attached to it on the other side of the building. There is a curb cut on Ridge Street. It comes into the small parking area that is in front of it. There's also a curb cut down here further on William Street that comes into the back of the lot. Those are the improvements that are there now. It's a two-story with a full attic and a full basement. It's a brick structure, wood frame on the interior. There were, at one time, it was a single-family home. It has been converted into what we can assume are two apartments. It looks like there was one on the downstairs floor with a small area in the back that was broken out as a kind of a separate quarters. Maybe somebody that was staying here as a home health aide or something like that, and then an upstairs apartment that may or may not have been 2 units at one time that got converted back into one. At any rate, Dan and the LLC have purchased the property. They've gone in and done the asbestos removal. There was a fair amount that was in the basement, a fair amount that was in the main floor of the house. That's all been remediated and taken out. The garage space is on the north. It's surrounded on 2 sides by a bunch of sheds that are put in there for storage. In fact, the one larger shed actually has a hole cut inside of it so you can access it from the garage. The garage does have a 3rd floor. It's in pretty bad repair, and that's part of the process that we're doing. The plan, as it is to create 4 apartments within the main apartment, or within the main building itself. Downstairs would be a 1-bedroom apartment in the back, 1-bedroom apartment in the front, 1-bedroom downstairs. The 2 upper floors apartments would be 2-bedroom units, one with a loft, two loft spaces, one open to the main floor, and one accessed by a stairwell. So we would be utilizing all 3 floors of the building. The garage would come off, and a new building is being proposed there where the garage was. It's our intent to make that new building look like the existing building, so we kind of match the architectural flow along the facade of the building. Right now, we have that set up as a 2-unit, 2-bedroom units. The downstairs would be an accessible unit. The upstairs would be a standard 2-bedroom unit. That would pretty much be phase 1 and 2. The way that they're looking at doing this in phases is they would like to do the main house first, get that up and CO'd and occupied, then do this second section here. Then the townhouses that we have proposed out on the backside would be kind of phase 3. So this is we are showing you the whole thing to avoid segmentation. We want to show you everything that's going on so that we have it all done and have it set up so that it can all be done, but it can be built in phases. They're not physically connected. We would utilize the existing curb cut that's on Ridge Street. We're showing 3 parking spaces up front. One would be accessible, which is right next to where the accessible unit would be. There is a driveway that's going to go around the end of the building there. We're showing some parking in this back corner. The way that the setback lines are kind of set, it's really hard to put a building in there and trying to do anything. It's kind of tucked back into the corner, so we prefer to keep our buildings up near the street and let leave the parking towards the back of the lot. The townhouse unit, the face that faces the road, the face that faces the other building, would again be similar in style to the existing home that's there now. And those units would have their own garage plus about a parking space out front. When we initially looked at the lot, it is just over an acre, 1.2 acres or something. density calculation will allow up to 19 units by the city's zoning code. We're proposing a total of 12, so we're under. We've got 1.5 spaces on this per the zoning code. We're providing up to, if you count all of the parking spaces that are there, we've got 29. We've got way more than what it's going to be. But again, we were looking at some of these. They are 2-bedroom units, so that could potentially be 2 people with cars. So for this instance, we would have that. And with these being 3-bedroom, the townhouse would be 3-bedroom units, so we would prefer to have enough parking for the tenants. Through, obviously, we've got all the drawings that show the existing floor plans. Again, this is the first floor plan of the building and how it was originally set up. Second floor, how this was originally set up. Again, we believe that this was 2 units because it does have 2 kitchens. So at one time, I think, the second floor, we had 2 in there. This is the exterior elevations, the ridge view, the ridge street view, and the village street view here. And the back of the building is what's actually. And for our proposed layout, this would be the 1-bedroom unit that's in the front. It would have its entrance coming in off the William Street side with a living room, the bedroom here, kitchen area, bathroom. All the units are set up with washer and dryer windows, so each unit would have its own washer and dryer. The back unit here would be accessed from the back of the building. You can connect to the living room unit here, the bedroom space, kitchen area, and the bathroom. This is the next. This is the phase 2 portion where the existing garage is. It has the 2-bedroom unit. This is the accessible unit downstairs. It would come in very at grade, whereas the first floor of the main building is actually a few steps up in grade. Not the accessible part. We have a common entry to go to this apartment and the one above. The second floor shows that same apartment above is accessed from that common way. This is the 2-bedroom unit here in the front of the building on the second floor. Bedroom here, and the stairs going up to the loft space that's above it. And the one in the back has its own entry coming in off the Williams. The bedroom in the back, the main living area, and the stair internal to the building go up to the loft area. These are the loft plans. This is the loft that's accessible to the back unit. This is the loft that's accessible to the front unit. The building will be 100% sprinkler. Having put that in for multiple units, this is currently not sprinkled now, so we have new fire connection. This is the ridge view side. You can see what we've done with the brick. We've got the gingerbread elements that go along with it. The mantles of the windows are meant to match. We've cut the 5 on and one of them very closely resemble the ones that are there. It would have the same brick facade and stone that wraps the bottom of the building now. We will continue that across the front of the proposed structure. The William Street side really on the main building doesn't change. It stays where it's at. This would be the addition where the garage is now, where it's 1-story, 2-story. This would be a 5 cement siding. Same on the back. Do something that's a complementary color to the brick.
So we just have the veneer on the front, the brick.
Yeah, the brick veneer. We're probably going to continue to set up around just a match because that does kind of wrap around the building that way, but we would use a 5% siding on the other 2 sides of the building. And then the townhouse unit, these are all rental units. Somebody said at one point that there was going to be something with for sale units. These are not for sale units. These are all townhouse rental units. Downstairs, each unit has a garage and the main entry with a power room, living room, and dining area with a kitchenette. You come upstairs to the master bedroom and its own bathroom, and then 2 bedrooms in the back, its own bathroom, and a laundry room upstairs. All those units are exactly the same. We've tried to, the William Street side, mimic the brick main building, tried to bring in the same lintels over the windows, the same handles, the same entryway over the sliding glass doors to the unit that would be facing the William Street side, and the same over there. As we wrap the corner of the building, we would keep the brick on the bottom side, and go on the top of that would go with the fiber cement, the back, the 2 back faces would be fiber cement.
Is this notice for sketch plan?
Yes.
We're not making any motions.
We wanted to get this in front of you, get it, Dan and his brother Adam doing a lot of work on the building themselves, so they wanted to get it in front of the board, get some feedback, see what, the board's feeling was, if we needed anything, additional. We meet all the zoning requirements. I've met with
Actually, you're way under it.
Yeah, I've met with both Evan and GJ. We've gone through it fairly extensively. We've been over with them and shown them, where we, just to make sure that there wasn't anything that we missed. Zoning wise, we meet parking requirements. We were not putting as many apartment units as we could put on there. Because it just doesn't fit.
It's appreciated when you come for sketch plan.
Prepare.
Yeah, it's nice.
As far as the site itself goes, we've done a little bit of the site work already, looking at what we need to do. We do need to go out and do a couple of test pits, find out what the soil conditions are. The shed is here behind the building now. It is our intent to relocate that down here so that they can use that for maintenance on site, to get inside, and that they will not have a garage anymore to go with this. So we can do that. There's a dumpster location right here, and there'll be a fence, enclosed, so that pickup can come in this way, grab it, do a small backup turn, and come back out on the ridge. The main in and out, there's a main in and out, like I said, here on the ridge, and there is a main in and out. With this being a one-way street, this will be a very close edge to the ridge side, so there's not going to be a lot of traffic that might be generated by this. It can't go down the ridge. It's most of the time on the ridge. Maybe some of the coming from the basement, some of the 12 apartments don't create traffic.
Yeah?
Thank you so much for doing this preparation. It's so refreshing.
Can we make sure that we speak English so the public can hear us?
Oh, sorry.
Please.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work done so far, especially with the technical stuff that a lot of people kind of gloss over. So I'll start with the main building that's attached to the original house. Really appreciate the matching of the style and brick. And the roof pictures are the same?
Yeah, on that one front facade, the intent is to continue to look exactly like.
And that foundation stone is going to be similar.
What's there are big chunks of limestone.
I know, yeah, you can't.
Dan's a nice guy.
Can't
He doesn't have the pockets to go out and get big
match.
chunks of limestone. So it'll more than likely be some kind of Rosetta.
Okay.
It's on the front, but it'll be, they do
Kind
it.
of color the.
Yeah, similar to the one that we used for 33 Park. When we did that building over there, it's got a wide Rosetta stone on the bottom, so it'll be something very similar to that.
And you're not going to be able to match the brick perfectly, but it'll be something that goes
We can get pretty close.
pretty close, yeah. No, I mean, I think, what you've done, the detail and all of that is appreciated. It would be lovely if you could go brick all the way around, but I totally get that you have to be able to build this.
Yes.
And if your plan is to have siding that's maybe matching color.
I don't know that we'll go with the red. We've used the red in a couple of places. We can get something that's fairly close, but I think that we're going to look at something that's more of a complementary color.
So the feet.
then it's the back of the building.
I mean, you're 30 feet away from the other property.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not the case. So, yes, much appreciated that addition to the time. Question on townhouses. Those two sliding glass doors at either end, why aren't they facing?
Right in the back.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've done this building, and it worked out really nicely to have those from hanging off the edges of the building, as opposed to coming off the back. When they just line up across the back, the layout on these two end units gives them some opportunity to have some windows on different sides.
That was sort of my lead into, can we look at the, can you walk us around the elevations on the townhouses?
On this,
On the townhouses.
so this is the elevation that faces William Street, and with this door and this canopy that's over the top of it. There it is. The one that's on the front here.
Yeah, that's the sliding glass door that's going to be facing the
Correct,
street.
and what we've done is this canopy that comes over that matches the one that's on the Ridge Street side. So that for the main house, on the main house, there's one that's on the Ridge Street side of the building.
And you have a central gable on, yeah, right. Right.
This side right here, it matches this one, and we try to match it here as well. So it's kind of the theme of taking that right around. There is one that's on the William Street side of this building as well, right there. So we're just kind of bringing that right down the street.
I mean, I think it's so important to tie these two buildings together, obviously.
On the site, and yeah, site aesthetically, that was kind of what we were working.
Also in terms of massing, so what is the roof pitch on the town?
The roof pitch on the townhouse is very similar. This, I think this is either a 9-12 or 10-12. We were really close to this. I think this is like close to an 8. If we go that much higher with it, it's just a void
It's
space.
an empty
So
space.
it really
Is that an empty space window up there?
Yeah. To match the one that's on the Ridge Street side of the building. Yeah, this is just a photo.
I mean, the overall, it's a new building, so it's kind of different. When we wrap around,
So this would be the side that would be facing the existing building.
sort of got a little utility shed roof, lower right-hand elevation,
Right
right?
here.
Yeah.
This is where the water entry service will be and the gas meters and stuff, so that they're not outside of the building. We'll get it inside this little shed here, so they don't, they're not outside. The brick will run all the way across the front facade here, and then we broke it with that little shed roof that we got on the top of that, and then about 5% inside, and again, complementary color to that. I'm thinking it's going to be some kind of beige, something that we can kind of match in with the ground lines of the brick and tie that into it. And then we've got a shade pattern in the gable. And that would probably be some kind of a complementary color to the beige.
I mean, I just had some practical questions, which we'll talk about, and everybody else has their 2 cents worth about how you're shielding the neighbors from the parking area and the backside of the townhouses. And then I'm going to make a very odd comment for an architect. There is, you won't be able to match that building with the townhouses. But you're a bit off William Street. And actually, I think it would be great with some really robust greenery, just shielding that facade, and not the screen, not the glass door. And I say that because it's practical, it makes sense, and we can't force it to look, in the old neighborhood, not to look in the old neighborhood.
And we've got, and so we have the the wrought iron fence that runs up ridge and also runs down here, these ends be falling out. We're going to enhance the planting. I'm working on, with the arborist right now, doing a planting plan of the site, a tree inventory of what's here, going through with them, seeing which trees are salvageable. There's some that are in the back of the house now that have just become overgrown, and they're not salvageable anymore. But what we're doing is going through and figuring out which ones can stay, which ones we're going to have to take down. That was really our reasoning for kind of keeping this here. It's unvegetated already. There is a pretty heavy vegetation between this back of this building and the building that's there. They also have offices right next to it on that fence, so all the fencing will come from them. It will most likely be a 5 or 6 foot privacy fence. It's going to run back side of the property between this building and the adjoining property, and also around the property back here. So we're separating the parking lot back here.
Yeah, the thought that came to mind was privacy, both for the new tenants as well as the neighbors.
Absolutely.
And then maybe at a certain point, talk about what lighting from a street from like that.
So the only lighting that would be on the back of the building back here would be the 4 lights at the doors. And these doors, we didn't have sliding glass doors. These are personnel doors, double on window side. So that's just personnel, just a single.
Is there some big patios back there? Or that
Yes,
is-
there's just little spaces outside. They're only like 6 feet. It's just enough for somebody to put a barbecue grill on. It's not big enough for outdoor living space. It's more than just an outdoor space with a barbecue or whatever. The patios are on the ends for those 2 units on the end. As far as the permeability, one thing that I didn't mention was the space that's the apron in front of the townhouses is set up to permeability. Stormwater management, and how we get water into the ground. We are going to do a full landscaping plan, which is essentially for our actual submission. We're working with the
You need
arborist.
to go there as well.
What's that?
You need to go there as well in terms of permeability. That's.
Yeah, it's required to be 15 or 50.
You're at 53.
My question would be the parking area. Is there going to be lighting in the parking area? Are the local residents protected that the lighting is
It would
not going
not
to
be-
be intruding on it?
Yeah, it would not be our intent that we're going to have large pole mounted lights. More than likely, what we're going to wind up with here are light balusters that have the light and from here down and just provide some lighting back there. I don't really see any reason to have a big high pole mounted light back here. It's necessary or warranted if we don't have that in other places. And just because this is a residential neighborhood, I'd like to keep the lights down low. Similar to what we did at Hudson Headwaters, did a parking lot that's right across the street on Broad Street. And all of theirs are the low baluster lights that just light the parking lot. They're not up high.
And water from the parking lot will flow away from the property.
We're gonna wind up with a couple of catch basins here. That's what we're doing test pits and stuff for, to make sure that we have the drainage back here. We'll have a couple of dry holes in here, and everything will pitch into the dry holes, so nothing moves away from the site.
And then you got area for snow removal.
Yes. We got a park, we got snow removal, snow storage down here in the end before we get to this. And this, the intent is that the fence runs all the way from, we'll start at William Street, run it up the property line, around the back this way, and then bring it back here. There's already part of a fence here that's on the neighbor's property, and it's brand new. No sense in us putting a brand new fence next to the brand new fence. There are several different kinds of fences along the back here. Some of them are in good shape, some of them are not so good shape. So it's time for us to
What kind of fence are you going to do?
like I said, it's probably going to be a privacy of find out we might find something, maybe a tape, something unusual.
The thing that sticks out to me the most with this, it's great to see 3 bedrooms consideration for the little people that'll be eating some grass to put between their toes. If this were a full lot of all these things, like all those parking spots in the back, or, it's just a thought that occurs.
What Dan and Adam and I talked about actually was we've got this area set aside. We know that we can make the parking.
Also, if it's a problem,
fit that here.
pave it, but if not, then
And putting what we call bank parking spaces. They're there, they're set aside, but we don't build them until we need them.
right.
We need to agree until we know we need them.
That's great too. It'd just be interesting if, like, yeah, it works itself out, then we don't need them.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of neat.
why have 10 parking spaces more than what we actually need?
Yeah.
If they're not necessary. So, yeah, in that case, probably these last 6 or 8, we would not build right away. We've got them there, but we can build them out until we can always go back and pay for a certificate if it turns out that it's necessary.
Sure.
I guess you answered the answer as far as parking. When I first saw this, it's a term we don't use here often in planning, but I had
Too much.
It's usually too little. When I first saw that, what Chris said, to me, if this is going to be done, and it's obviously a very classy type of thing, that'd be a great place to have like a gazebo and some picnic tables or something like that along those lines. As far as site plan review, I've looked at this site a couple of times, and one concern I have, I know you meet the permit bill ratio, but there's probably at least a 2-foot drop from Bridge Street to the back of your property. At least, yeah. And to me, it's just, you're going to do perk test on it too.
And this, this area, if you come in, so I agree with you, Tom, if you come in here, from this way it drops back, if you go here. But once you get back here, this is relatively flat all the way through. There's not much of a change in grade here. So really, our change in grade kind of takes place right here.
Right.
And like we're coming in at this level at the upper area, and I actually drove my truck around the back side of this and down into this station. Drove my truck down into here just to make sure that that was a turning radius.
You didn't see this back there. You mentioned about the fence, as far as fielding the neighbors, and circle the whole day. One thing that really bothered me, I think what you're doing in the building out front looks absolutely gorgeous. I looked at it, this is a building that over the years I've actually had some casual comment. This is a building I would like to bought, and people had no idea how big that lot was. So I think the front part is, one thing that really bothers me personally about the front is the fact about putting parking cars out in front of the building. Because to me, the first thing I saw, I was trying to think of examples that's, to me it's there's nothing even close to that. And the thing closest to that on Bridge Street is Stewart's. Right. I don't think you want to deal with Stewart's, and you've got so much parking and too much parking, and you want to park cars out in front.
So here's,
I think that's really going to detract.
we discussed this as well. So because this downstairs is our accessible unit,
Right.
accessible unit, we did decide to put an accessible parking space here. That's our
So you
most,
put that behind it.
that's our most direct route. I looked at that, now we're in grade change.
Right.
In order to get from here back up to this floor level, we gotta put some kind of big ramp in, and now I'm in permanent locations here. Here, I can make this right at grade, right, and I can get right into the building this way. And then the other thing we talked about is these two spaces are maybe just short-term parking for visitors or for, DoorDash, someone who's dropping stuff off. People come in with their groceries, want to drop their groceries off, and they go park the car, not have to go basketball out. So we did talk about that, with this being the accessible parking space and up the short term. So there wouldn't necessarily be cars parked there all the time. And we did, we had originally laid it out, we had additional parking over here, we had 3 extra cars over here, and again, I was like, we have enough parking. let's leave this as green space in the front of the building. Because this is all nice green space. The landscaping is significantly overgrown and all has to be replaced, and will be replaced.
Taking all that into consideration, it's going to look terrible. All right. Maybe it's going to cause a little hardship. You got to go around back. You got to do a rain and everything, but there's nothing in that neighborhood that's close to that. And to me, it's going to make it stuck out. To me, and again, it's a personal thing. It almost gives it a feel like a commercial type of thing, or a high museum, or a doctor's office or something like that. You've got too much parking. It just seems, you've got 30 feet off the back property line, and some parts of it. Just personally, I think that really is going to detract from the it's not conducive to the neighborhood.
Are you suggesting maybe they just do the one handicap spot and one short term and then eliminate the others? Is that something else?
Just put them all around the building.
Let me see why. What we might do is move our sheriff items here.
I mean, if nothing else, it attracts the fact that that covers up part of that. And again, that's just a personal and just from some comments that I've heard, that, to me it detracts. It's almost like you're doing this beautiful restoration of this building with an issue, but then you got the problem. So it's like there's 99% good. And I guess the perk tests are going to tell about it.
There's not no indication of there being any background water table there. Not too far off the street from this.
What about any connection to sewers and things like that? Because on the back property line on William Street, there's a 6-inch PVC pipe. It looks like a cleanout for a sewer. Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is. We have to get together. I got to get together with Jeremy and figure out where he wants us to make the connection. If he wants us, there is a manhole here.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most direct route out, is from the new building out. Obviously, the existing buildings are connected to the sewer. We got to get it scoped. We got to make sure that it doesn't collapse. We've done everything there. We know we have to bring the water lines in. The water line that comes in now is only 3/4 inch main. It's not big enough to run a sprinkler system. So we know we have to bring in the water line in. We've already talked about that. Electrical, probably going to bring the electric service in. Is what's there. It's probably not adequate enough to run 6 units off them. Right. It was adequate enough to run any house off them.
I guess just one other thing as far as site plan, what are the HVAC units going to be on the townhouses? Are they going to be visible? I mean, are they?
Well, the intent right now is there's each.
Where are they going to be located? The internal or?
The buildings themselves have a utility room in each one, which is where the furnace will be, and then there'll probably be 3 ground mounted units here, and then 3 that are beside the two. Again, they're going to be smaller ground.
So something you could probably conceal with the landscape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially in the 3 that will be on the beach.
The William Street side. We may be able to, the run is not far enough that we may be able to get all 6 of them back here.
Right.
It's still able to get a run right down the center. I can get 75 feet. So I may be able to get all.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, even if you had to take, like Nina had mentioned, that one on hand.
Yeah.
Bring that to the back, and use that entire side, but also have it concealed and enclosed. I think that's all I got as far as site plan.
I think our profession has done a good job trying to make a match. The only thing I can say, I think the board's got to expect, this, I'm sure you are, but you were on the board for many years, is we got 8 neighbors that touch the property line. So, it's something that's going to impact quite a bit of people, and very neighbors. I'm sure you want to be a good neighbor. you know, the zoning, actually, is, so in other words, they're all zoned single family, and one of them's two family, on William Street, now the other ones, the lot property are all single family homes. So that's what you're doing. So you're right at the edge of that zoning, so you're kind of pushing right out towards your neighborhood. And so I just think it's something we have to be cognizant of as we go through this process to make sure.
Yeah, that's why we, have a partner back here, so that it's not, this is a figuring out, it's not an all the time thing. And yet, we've got for the 6 units, 6 townhouse units, their part is all contained within this. So these units here are really for this building. So we put it back there, and that's why we talked about the privacy fence, keep that separated. Those are really effective. Privacy fence is 6 feet tall. You can see over them, but it doesn't allow a lot of the overhead to shine through.
Yeah, I think based on what we said, Bob said earlier, as far as the parking in front, those two specs don't bother me as much. But I think because you want that front unit, you're going to have people parking on the range you can. So you got to keep parking in the roadway because it's a lot closer to their apartment than it is. So during the daytime, you can hang out for a few cars parking.
There is from Williams going north, there is parking that's available on the street during the day. Obviously, it's not all night.
Right.
It's not like somebody pull up there and park and leave the car there. But really, there's not a lot. I know a few of the residences that you go down through here, during the day park on the street. It's not a heavy park street. It's very odd.
I like this house, so I'm glad to see that it's a TLC. It is, it's really neat. I think the architecture looks good, I really do. I can see your point about the parking. When you get that house redone, it's gonna be beautiful. You haven't been able to really see it for years now. It's so overgrown. So I can appreciate that it would be beautiful to have there, but I understand your situation as well. Everybody else has covered this stuff, the fencing and AC, the HVAC stuff, so, no, I think it looks great for some. I'll be anxious to see the landscape.
Drawings look great. Not to keep going over the same thing, that the vehicles parking in the front, I think I agree with Solange, it's really going to take away from the project. I kind of understand the thought process on being there, but you've done so much on the rest of the project to not push it to the limits of where it could be and be, take the neighbors into consideration and the whole deal. And it's going to be a big thing on that corner. It could really, really look great, like 90% there. Pretty much everything. It looks great. You brought the old architecture back into the new part. I think from sketch plan where we are is awesome.
We appreciate the feedback. That's why I want to hear your feedback on it. Like I said, we've been over it pretty extensively with Devin and DJ to make sure that we had all the I's dotted and T's crossed with the zones.
Has it been vacant
Okay.
for a long time?
The owner passed in the building, yes. He's been there 2 years, yeah.
It was on the market for a while now.
Yeah, I think you put it on, and took it off, and put it back on. Do you own just that property?
Well, it's a lot of
No, just
right, yeah, just right. This project is just this project.
No, I heard off and on things that there was interest, if somebody was interested in all 3 of those corners. The yellow house, the bright big gray house on the.
This big one over
Yeah.
here, and then there's 2 more over here.
Yeah.
One that's back and one that's right on the street.
Yeah.
Are you interested in that?
Did the fire prevention officer's comments get relayed to Ethan?
No, I actually don't believe you got those this afternoon.
So Aaron, Lieutenant Ward was asking, what is the width of the road going William.
14.
Okay, since the highest portion of the eastern building is over 30 feet, it looks like he's saying the fire department access road needs to be 26 feet wide and unobstructed access. Okay, and then with the parking spots in the rear, what is the distance from the curb of the road cutting through the property to the edge of the parking area west? Maybe Devin can forward this email to you and you can work with it.
Yeah, I got the understanding that we're CC'd on it, because he usually does with you, but
We just got it today, so just so you
Yeah, I
know.
didn't see it, I didn't see it. yeah.
Okay, so be aware of that.
Yeah, this road coming in is a 24-foot road, 24-foot wide road coming in, and it goes all the way back here. Obviously, they're not going to drive the fire truck all the way back here, now, which is why the 14-foot, which typically 14-foot access for one-way traffic is adequate for, for the truck to get around. And the turning radii coming in here and coming around, we lay a turning radii on here for the truck to get us some sauce.
Okay.
Yeah, we lay that on
Right.
already, just to make sure that you know it's a question.
I just want you to make sure you have this
Sure.
comments.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that was also, this was also for the trash pickup. We tried to put this in a location where it would be the least intrusive to any of the neighbors. So we put it here, wrap it around. This way, when the truck comes in, they can come in and pick it up and melt it, and we're right out this way back out on the bridge, and they don't have to have the backup alarm going the whole distance and back out.
Might be less intrusive to those neighbors. Just throw that out there, those neighbors should. Because then they are getting.
If we wind up pulling and moving this down here, and we may bring this over here and put it in a spot where they can come in and get it at an angle, back out, right back around. Again, that'll all be screened, we'll have that completely shielded all the way around. Yeah, and right back out.
I'm going to open this up, see if there's anybody from the public that would want to comment on this. Anyone from the public like to comment on this? What's that? Yeah, you can. Come up.
I found out about the project. I can't understand how a project is going in my neighborhood. And this, another neighbors were aware of it. Nobody took the time, including this board, to inform the neighbors, project was going in our backyards. This all didn't do it, the developer didn't do it. Everybody else was clear. I couldn't hear most of the comments on those things. I haven't seen a landscape plan, I haven't seen a drainage plan. I don't know whether they talked to the water and sewer superintendent over Glens Streets, so it can handle that many people. I don't know if they've addressed the increased traffic.
Well, sir, we opened this up to public comments, and we're listening to, but this is just the first time that the city has seen this, okay?
So you saw it today too?
So I've had the plans for a week and a half, but yes, this is where it's introduced, okay?
Yeah, I
So-
agree, but why was anybody notified that this was going to be happening?
Devin?
it's sketch plan, we properly noticed it, when it's site plan, we'll do mailers as well.
So this is a sketch plan for us to see this, and then you'll get, really, we didn't have to open this up for comments, but everybody was here. Wait, next meeting, when we have the site plan review and the architectural review, is where the public really gets to comment, but you guys are all here, and we want to hear what you have to say. Well, no, I'm not doing you a favor, but I want to hear what you have to say, we all do.
No, what I'm saying is it was noticed as sketch plan review. When it becomes site plan review, that's when the abutting neighbors will
What I would
receive.
request from all of you is you sit down with the neighbors and tell us what's going on.
Well, when it's site plan review official, where the board would actually vote, that's when all the neighbors within a certain distance will receive an actual written notice to be.
A legal notice that that's going on.
So we're not voting, the board is not.
We're not doing
voting
anything, we just,
tonight.
it's getting introduced to us.
This is the official application.
I think you missed the whole point of it. This project kind of went out of secret,
It's not a secret.
It's not a secret.
In fact, he's actually doing more
One thing to
than.
do with what,
Okay.
particularly the policy, and the policy record. You see, we had an input on it in the design district.
Well, that's not a legal requirement for the
I'm
applicant.
fairly upset about this whole thing. I didn't think that this is not the way the process should work. I'd like to make a few comments.
Sure, sir.
And what's your name, sis?
What's your name, sir?
Ability to. If Mr. Hall came here and said, this is what we're going to do right there, fine. The house is nice, right now. I lived next door to it for 60 years. There's a lot of historical, not that important, but there's a lot of historical homes. My home was built downtown, moved there in 1898. This is the original Otter Farm house. There's the Dick's Mansion, called Governor Dick's. This would be the largest multi-apartment building north of Crooklyn Highway. I've seen this house go into terrible disrepair. I'm not sure I'm not an architect. I think you can build something here, attached to this house, without doing a complete renovation of this house. If he said this is going to become a beautiful home again, which it was when I moved here 6 years ago, that's adjustable. And he's going to add this on. He's crowding this house here, and my house, not my house anymore, I just sold it, on this side. And then to put 20 parking spaces. The land behind it is totally developed. It's the only ingress and egress would be right on the Blue Street. There's no way to get a fire engine in there. The whole lot is, you're looking at Jackson House the whole way around. There's no other ingress or egress. I think that's why they agreeable. Get rid of this arsenal, not to tear down, but to rebuild it. I think architecturally that's going to be different. But I'm sure it'll be more public comment this time to come. I just wanted to make that comment now, because this is a historical area. My house is 1842, but it was moved there in 1892. So it's been lonely here for my me and this place since. So I think these are just some preliminary ideas when you're looking at this whole project. This part is looking at you, anything behind you.
Thank you.
Steve Hibbert, River Street.
that site, that'd be an attraction. And then, of course, the structure of that, they seem to be popping up all over Glens Falls, and I think each one of them values Glens Falls. And they're all sort of, in my opinion, we're saying for modern, cheap shortcuts to intensive living, or sort of, how they call it, I'm not sure the terms, all the hard thing, but squeezing as many people in as cheaply as possible. And I just want against that, I think. So,
Say your name, please. State your name.
Can you speak up? I can't.
Yeah, we can't hear. What's your name?
Thank you. I own 50 William Street now. So this is basically just coming right around the side of the entire encompassing my home. So
The site,
Hello, my name is Rachel Fortini. I'm the owner of 200 Ridge Street, so I'm kind of in the same boat as this woman back here. My property is in the project on two sides. I do understand and realize that they are well under the zoning's, a lot of units, whatever. However, considering that there was nothing there before, I believe that the impact to the neighborhood, the area is going to be much more significant and is eventually presented and laid out for in the proposal. I do appreciate the improvements that you made. I know you spoke to my husband, I think it was you when you first heard about the property. However, there's, not entirely opposed to the proposal, I guess, but we are concerned about the environmental and potential impact. Some of those issues were addressed in your presentation, however, it was very hard to hear, so I'm not sure if I got all the information correct. Largely, the size and scale of the project is a concern for that small area. We're looking at 29 vehicles and 29 plus individuals moving into that space. Is a one-time situation going through from William to Hybrid, or is it not? I didn't know that.
On-site, we can call it whatever we want, it's an enforceable action, so it is set up for two-way traffic.
Okay, I guess the directionality of this is a little bit of an issue, but the driveway to the back off of coming from Reagan is right next to my house. So all of those cars are going to be driving right by my house. These cars are going by my windows, which is going to be a lot of vehicle traffic as well as pedestrian traffic. I'm concerned about. I know that it was mentioned about the lighting in the back parking lot. Is that something that can be made conditional if this moves forward? I have visibility from my back deck and my kitchen right into that back parking lot right now. So we're looking at a visual impact in that regard. So from my office, there's a bedroom right above that. So our visual field as well as any sort of noise, any sort of light that's put back there is something to be shed right through a window. The other issue is the location of the dumpster, 12 units. You don't know if it's going to be families or what have you. I know that's quite a bit of garbage for the area. I'm concerned about, is this going to be enough? Is it going, are we going to have pests or, what's going to happen with that? Again, it's right next to my house. And I was not able to tell the distance of the dumpster from my house in the drawing. I'm sorry, I had zero professional knowledge of how to read the signs. Let's see. I am concerned about pedestrian traffic on Ridge. Having a driveway right off of Ridge myself, you really have to stop it multiple times to make sure that you with 29 more cars coming in and out of there, that it is definitely just a city pedestrian safety issue. So maybe like improving the visibility there. Again, the cars parked in the front is it definitely takes away some of the more cosmetic look and appeal. I don't necessarily want to be looking at parked cars all day. So the back parking lot, I know you said that there's going to be privacy fence put up. Is that all? I mean, part of that is my fence. So like, are you putting additional fence, or are you using my fence?
We're gonna take a look and see which ones are need to be replaced and which ones are not. Okay.
So some of it's going to be my fence.
Well, your fence is gonna stay, we're not gonna take your fence now.
Yes,
We can't take your fence now.
I'm more concerned about like snow removal. I wasn't sure where you said you looked at that. Are we going to have snow pushed up against the fence? So there is.
You've got fence that runs along
Yes,
here.
right here. Okay. Okay. And then did you say that the water and all that kind of stuff is going to be up, like the access is going to be there?
Everything is there's gonna be dry walls that are here, and all of this pitch and steel is dry walls. So everything pitch and steel is built on the side.
Okay. That takes care of it. Okay, and then. Oh yes, the trees on the property line. Not determined as far as which ones you're taking down.
We're working with the arborists right now to see which ones are healthy enough to leave and which
Right.
ones. There are some of them
I
that are.
agree there are some that do need to come
There
down,
are some of
but
them that are pretty dangerous conditions.
I am concerned with my house.
And the ones that are in need of coming down, that's what we're working with the arborists on, is to see which ones are healthy enough to be contained. The ones that come out, obviously, we want to replace them.
So that is another concern, is this project does take away a lot of the greenery that's in this area. That being said, I do understand that the lot is unused and it's uninhabited, and so it's been left to overgrow. You know, I do understand we live in a city, so we have to make room for certain things. But it certainly takes away from the aesthetic of the area. And then the safety, if we're having, now we're gonna have multiple, like 30 more individuals on the property, you know, right along many sides of my property. You know, my children play out in our backyard. What are they gonna be hearing? What are we gonna be listening to? Are we gonna, you know, are there gonna be like fights out there, people swearing? You know what I mean? Like, I just, noise pollution, I guess is the way to put it. That's also an issue. And then a large issue is resale value for our home. If this doesn't end up being our forever home, you know, how's that going to affect our resale value now that we're completely surrounded by apartments? So, thank you for hearing me out.
Sorry? Oh, yeah, if you make a comment, please. Well, they probably want to hear the sound system is horrible.
That's what we're going to
Yeah, yeah, take the microphone and, yeah. You guys want to sit down?
It's really bad. These nominations are almost everything you ask, and then you're facing this way, which I can't have to do. But we can't, when you're explaining something, we're just about to move quickly back. So, just so you know, from an audience standpoint, what it is tough. And I have been hearing, and I am going, okay, I got 2 words. So, from a practical standpoint, my name is Barb Schrader. We are backing up to this project as well. We're 206 Ridge. I think you answered the first question, which I think is the number one thing they have everybody here, that we have not been notified of the processes that we would not be notified at this point.
Correct.
Right.
Because most of us have not gone through it.
Correct.
So,
This is
okay.
sketch plan review, so it is noticed as sketch plan review and architectural review. When it's on for official site plan review, that's when you would receive your individual mailer telling you about the project.
Okay, so that answers a lot of questions.
be nice if the applicant came before the board.
And
Asking,
it's not required.
asking
It's
for
not required.
everybody.
They come to see us.
They did it.
And you guys were all here?
Yeah.
So we, and I'm not saying
We're
that,
not supposed to get-
right, and I want to hear this, okay?
So my second thing is, I understand the city is in the process of doing a comprehensive planning. And when we purchased our house, we were heavily told that it was all single family here and not multi, except for the ones that were originally built as duplexes. And so one of the things I had been trying to find out is who do I talk to make sure that it stays single family residential and not multi-family unless these were originally built that way. You look at the other three corners, these things were built 100 years ago and were intentionally built to be apartments and rentals. This home was built as a single family home. Now, I wouldn't expect somebody to buy it and then turn it back into a single family. That's ideal, which we expected, but I also didn't expect it to then quadruple the number of places that are in maintenance, because that completely changes the character. And I think the whole purpose of what we're trying to do is building community, building home ownership, and people who want to stay and invest in the community and really make a difference in terms of their homes. So my concern is, I love the idea, by the way, that you're renovating and not just taking this down, but to then add another 6 3-bedroom homes is like, whoa, am I downtown again?
Well,
Or
it
am
is,
I-
Right.
it is zoned multifamily.
Right, and I don't know, I can't tell you the date, but you bought your house there, and
Yes.
that's your responsibility.
I have no
Okay.
nuance about that, and I didn't know it was multi-family at the time, I should have checked. But being that it is, I have a whole lot of questions, which I think some of them I can get from the internet and some that I can't. What is called, what is multifamily and how much is density in terms of numbers of people, numbers of apartments or homes? I mean, the idea of all of a sudden having my backyard is all nice and forested, now we parking lot and the lights and the noise and the people and all that, it's extremely disconcerting. So I'm sure we all have a number of other questions, I won't go into all of them right now. I will wait for next time. But my biggest concern are the 6 townhouses. So just let you know where we are. Thank you.
Hi.
Judy Pellegero, I live on Long Avenue, about 5 houses away from this property.
Where's,
11 Long Avenue, so it's about 5 houses away from this property. Aside from this project, we've had a lot going on in our neighborhood. A lot of us have been gathering together for some time because of other properties nearby across the street from this property that have been in a bad stage and in great need of repair and renovation. We've been meeting with the mayor, with our councilperson, Landry on a regular basis and talking about these things. So you will, I think, continue to hear from me and our neighbors about this, and again, we gather together quickly about all of this that's been going on. There is a great interest in historic preservation in our area. It's very significant, historic part of the city. The former governor of New York, Governor Dix, is on the opposite corner, and his middle name was Lawton, and that's where he got the name of Dix Avenue, Locke Avenue, and that home is still there and occupied by one of our earlier speakers. So a great interest in historic preservation. We would love to see this property preserved and done in an appropriate way, following SHPO standards. We believe that we're proposing to use 10 brick or 2-inch brick on that. That is not a good standard.
Dave Cook. I live on 202 Ridge Street. And we're good, privileged to be able to, I just moved here from Massachusetts in September. We bought the home of Walter and Joan Prescott. Balloon Festival, we feel honored to be part of that heritage. We really want to do something in our home about that. But anyway, I came to say ditto to those that have already expressed their concerns. And looking at the zoning and stuff like that, it talks about high density, medium, low density. And it seems like our area is kind of low density, wooded area in the back that we look forward to enjoying. And I know it's just a piece of God's creation, but to have that turn into townhouses and apartments, to me feels like a deterioration of the value of our neighborhood and our home. And I realize the plans are excellent plans and well thought out, but I just want to express that. I appreciate you folks giving us an ear, even though we have begun. I'm passionate, but I appreciate it.
I appreciate people being here and having input. We have 14,000 people in the city, and a lot of times this room is empty. So I know that this directly affects you guys, but I really appreciate the public's comments. That's why we're all volunteers here, because we care about what goes on in the city.
Hi, I'm Lisa Davis, I live at 14 Street, and I guess I just want to reiterate a lot of what everyone else has said, the aesthetics of the neighborhood, how it will affect that, the parking issues, as well as the number of people that will be coming in and out. William Street is a one-way street. We already have tons of people going down that street the wrong way at the time of day. I definitely see that picking up. You know, I think redoing that main building is wonderful. I've got no problem with that at all. But I think adding all those townhome houses really just takes away from it.
I have Willie Davis, I'm a friend of Davis, I'm not a passion. I know somebody here.
What's your name, sir?
Willie Davis. Lisa's husband. I think it's a good idea, make that house nice and pretty again. I just don't, we have enough renters around us, that kind of brings by our own town. That's the whole thing, is to stick to the river. I just, maybe we can find another location. Thanks.
I want to thank you all for your comments. Again, whether, Tom?
Ethan, you mentioned that this is going to be done in phases. All right, so it's the main house on the corner first, then the townhouse will be second.
No, the second phase is we take the garage, the existing garage, attached to the main house down, and we go with that.
Then, so the final piece will be the townhouses. And you're looking for approval for all three?
You have to.
Yeah.
Under our code, segmentation is not allowed, so if there's more than one phase, it must be addressed all at the site plan review. Otherwise, it's called segmentation and it's not allowed.
So you have to look at it from an environment.
The entire property, the entire project, not just one phase at a time.
What's that? No, so we've done,
So we've got input from you folks, we have input from the neighborhood. We will take a look at the appropriate things and move forward from there. We have input from Aaron. I will discuss with him that, and then obviously we've got stuff we need to get together to back to you. I don't know that we'll be ready to come back in September. We're just, like I said, we're still working on it. I just want to get this project in front of you.
okay, the one thing I want to make clear is that this isn't approved, we're not allowing them to build anything They're cleaning up the site, remediating asbestos. Nothing is approved here, nothing is being built, okay? It's just taking and cleaning up the site. And I imagine, knowing this gentleman as I do, that you'll see great improvements there over the next month. Whether they come back here for approvals or not, the property will still keep looking better, okay? But we have not approved anything. This was just to hear their ideas. Okay?
To that point, they had it for a while, this white fact that it's not mowed or trimmed or, they've been working on some asbestos.
That's a building and codes issue, but you just told the owner right now, so. Yeah, and there is limits, like, they can only do so much of the property, a certain lawn could have been mowed, whatever. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Devin, did you notice architectural review? It's on the agenda as sketch plan review, and then you have it as architectural review. Did you actually notice the architectural review?
No one needs to notice site plan and subdivision.
Okay, so we don't need to table anything.
No.
Second on the agenda this evening, sign board review, BP 25-006, City of Glens Falls Housing Authority, owner of tax map number 303.17-16, 3.2, commonly known as 45 Ridge Street, seeking to install a 20 square foot freestanding sign on the property pursuant to the City of Glens Falls zoning code, chapter 180-6F3. This will require sign board review and approval. Anyone here? You want to represent the sign board? Hold on, wait, I got one thing I have to take care of. So there's no one here representing the sign board review? Okay. Oh!
Are you here for the application?
You just work for the housing authority? So you're on the board.
Is there anyone here representing the applicant for the city?
You're not representing that for the city. No, this will get tabled till next month. I make a motion to table this to next month.
Second.
What we're doing is,
Yeah, we know. It's just a formality that we're going to. So what do we do?
It's rubber stamping it as their.
So wait, what's that? Right, so why is it?
we're just trying to be good neighbors.
Yes, I expressed it all the time. They were from the board, I was confirming this information with the proper channels.
So are they not coming next time either?
I don't know, they seem very adamant here, and I had 2 extremely busy days and did not have time to call out.
I understand that, it's notice, and so there's supposed to be someone here.
I will say I do try to remind the applicants, but it is not my job.
I understand.
Yeah.
The onus is on the applicants, and I have been insanely busy for the past 2 days. So.
I only have one
Yeah.
question
But he's
related
not-
to this application.
So what do we do? We just,
It has to be tabled.
I make a motion to table this application to the meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Next month. Well, whether they show up or not. Yep, someone applied.
Second.
be done.